Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance. This is a fun episode. We're going to do another mailbag. We have some questions that have come in recently, which is kind of cool. And what I mean by that is the old thread and the new thread, to those who've been listening, the RSS feed is wild right now. So we're on around the 300 mark. We blew up the podcast. And, you know, I have no idea why these things happen the way they do, but I'm so thankful that right now I'm in a much better mindset. As in, there was a time in my life where I would have just been devastated. You know, I was kind of devastated for like 5 minutes, but it's more like, hey, let's get into it. Let's really step this up. You know, technically we lost our old show, but the show is here with all of the episodes on a new feed. And as a bonus to this, they've let us back on YouTube, which is hilarious because YouTube really had us blacklisted for a long time. They did not like our feed. We weren't allowed to do anything on YouTube. But now we are on YouTube. So that's kind of fun. And that's a good place to be. So what? Do we start creating visuals? That sort of thing? Yes. And this all actually happened right around the time that I was like, hey, we're going to start to get into video podcast, which I think was episode 303. So it's funny how, you know, yes, we're going to get back into video podcasting. And yes, we now are on YouTube. So there's a huge purpose for video broadcasting or podcasting. But yeah, we lost all of our traction. So to those that are listening, please allow, or anyone that you share the show with or that you've talked to about in the past, let them know that they can go to the website. And all of the links running off the website are brand new, up to date, fresh. We've cleaned everything up because there's actually a bunch of platforms that were on there that don't even exist anymore. So we cleaned everything up over in that realm, and we've had some fun with it. So, I mean, it's crazy to think that, you know, we did 5-6 years of everything on one RSS feed and it's gone. But it's gone. So what do? You know, you lose your traction, you lose a few things, you lose some steam, some momentum. But the best thing you can do is just pick the pieces up and keep going. You know, even if I think about the episodes, you know, before 200, they don't even fully represent where I stand and how I want to convey things anymore. So it's like, you know, you take the good with the bad. There's a reason that everything happens the way it does. And I am not sad or upset about it. I'm actually grateful for the challenge. Bring it on, ladies and gentlemen. A bit of sad news, too. On the last episode, we were talking about our friend Carole. She did pass away. She went away in her sleep, but she was surrounded by family and friends. And even I got to get in there and see her one last time and spend a little bit of time with her. I love that woman. Carole, you will always hold a piece of my heart. So thank you for absolutely everything. You were an absolute dream of a client, a wonderful human being, and just an all-around neat person to get to know, understand, love, comprehend. So thank you, Carole, for absolutely everything. You impacted a lot more people than you would even know. And I know your energy's out there and around and helping people tie up some loose ends. I know that's how it works. So from the bottom of my heart, I love you. I love your family. Thank you for everything. Ladies, gentlemen, let's get into the mailbag. We have one question from recent, and the rest of them, I think, are based off the old thread. So I like that the emails are still coming in. I like that people are still seeing the old show, even though we're not updating it. We don't have the ability to update it. And eventually the old show will go away, and when you do a general search for the Mental Mastery Alliance, the new thread will simply show up. We've just lost all lineage. We've lost, you know, all of the views and all of the statements and all of the kind words. Also, yeah, if you're listening right now, we don't ask for this normally, but if you can go to iTunes and leave us a star rating or a review, this would help us get reacquainted with iTunes because the old reviews are gone. So it would be grateful, we would be grateful, and it would be helpful if you could leave us a review. An open and honest review of how you feel about the show. Let's get into the mailbag, ladies and gentlemen. We have Evelyn from Sedona, Arizona. And she says, with all the talk about higher consciousness and awakening, do you think the current political divide in the U.S. reflects a deeper spiritual battle between fear and love? How do we navigate this divide without getting caught up in the negativity? Boosh, coming out hot there, Evelyn. That's a huge one. And everyone can watch this and can see the division. They can see it obviously from their perspective, from their point of view. There's no truth to anything. There is, in my opinion, again, this is all just my opinion. There is speculation and personal ideologies that go into who might be what for what. And personally, I've watched some of this stuff. Again, I am Canadian, so I'm not fully adapt to American politics. But I saw a speech by Trump saying we're going to get rid of all the gender confusion and it's going to go back to male female. And I thought, this is wild, because if there's no real anything in society, we tend to pick things to rip apart. My stance on all of that, liberal moombo jumbo, is simple. Be who you want to be. Do what you want to do, and don't interfere with people. Now, that statement would piss off people on different sides of the spectrum, which is kind of funny, because it stands for don't be a dick, don't be a bully. And right now we have a ton of people being bullies. A ton of people who are like, I'm supposed to be this and I identify as this, and if you don't accept me, you're a piece of trash. These people are like yelling at us and attacking us, and they're making our kids think that our kids are weird for whatever it is. And they say things like, don't bully, don't get rid of bullying. Well, we're being bullied now. So the people that quote unquote may have been bullied before are the ones doing the bullying now. And there are so many people, and I'm not an advocate or an anti-advocate or whatever the heck, I'm not any one way or the other. I'm not here to pick a fight. I look at these things and I think to myself, Kamala Harris gets out there and she makes all these promises, but she was technically in office for 4 years under a president who could not form a sentence. That doesn't look good. And I said this before. I said what Donald Trump started in absurdity and in pure chaos and aggression, Joe Biden put an exclamation point on, an emphasis on, in stupidity. Like all of the stuff that was going on with Hunter Biden and the laptop and all of this speculative things. And I will say this, because again, we're new to YouTube, so I don't know if they're going to censor me for bringing up truths or opinions or what have you. So maybe I'll just press this button right here.
Disclaimer. If you're going to soundbite any of this podcast, you must soundbite it in its entirety for consistency and context.
What makes me laugh too is this Rodecaster I've been using. This is the Rodecaster 1, the very first one that they introduced. And I adore it. It is just this beast of a machine that was at one point overkill, but now fits the bill completely. I had the Rodecaster 2, and the thing just was so buggy, even with multiple updates, I had to send it back a couple times. So I'm still sticking with the Rodecaster 1 for what I need. I'm gonna ride this thing till the wheels fall off, as we used to say. But one of the cool things about this is I just realized, so whenever you turn this thing off, normally you have to, you press the power button and then you press the confirm button on the touchpad. But I have a dust cover on it. So mine's always covered in the hard plastic. And all of society is pretty lazy, including myself. So I never liked, even though I did it for years, pressing the power button and then pressing the touchscreen, lifting up the cover. And I laugh now because I recently found out that if you just simply press the power button twice, it goes off. I think that's hilarious, ladies and gentlemen. 5 years into owning this thing, I'm like, well, that's a hell of a lot simpler. So I hope I answered your question a little bit there, Evelyn. Sort of. It says, how do you not get caught up in the negativity? Well, the negativity is the intent. So just to be aware of it and understand it, that those who want to be negative towards you with regards to anything that you may think, see, do, feel, what have you, that's on them. They're just displaying who they are. It's got nothing to do with you. That's why you'll see, I posted something. I posted on Instagram. Let's see here. Not too long ago. And I'm just using my voice right now to kill up some you don't want to have dead air. So I posted on Instagram 10 years ago. I made the decision to never correct anyone who's wrong unless I'm paid to do it. And I've never been happier. This is a meme that I took from somebody else, but I relate to it. And I laugh because it's got a lot of likes, it's got a lot of traction, and it's got a lot of comments. And it's got a lot of people yelling at me. So there's a ton of people out there that agree with it. And people that have, and this isn't a knock or anything, this is purely an observation. People that have they, them type pronouns in their profile are unfollowing at a record rate. And I thought that's interesting how those who preach the most amount of inclusivity are the most discriminatory when it comes to certain things. And it's true. Remember too, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you say something, no matter what your intent is, and my intent is always purity. My intent is don't waste your time, live life to the fullest, maximize your experience. But nobody's going to hear you based on what it is that you're saying. People will really only hear you based on their level of trauma. Bill Burr said it best when he said, it doesn't matter what I say. The words that come out of my mouth and the intent that they come out of that mouth are completely jargled. As soon as it goes into your ear, it passes through your brand, your filter, your chaos, whatever you want to call it. Once it does that, on the other side, that's what you spit back to me. So I can't predict how you're going to react. All I can do is stick with the authenticity as best I can, and try not to be a dick, bottom line. Anyway, that was a bit of a sidebar. So yeah, Avalon, don't get caught up in the negativity. Just simply allow them to be what they want to be and don't take shit. Set boundaries, set healthy boundaries. Jonah from Portland, Oregon. I feel like the 2024 election with Trump and Kamala as major figures represents a turning point, but I can't quite put my finger on what it means. From a metaphysical perspective, is this election symbolizing something bigger about America's path forward? That's a dope question. Why I like that is, we see things that reflect where we are, what we're thinking, what we're seeing, what we're doing. This, I look at the elections, and again, I feel that the majority of all political elections are almost identical to wrestling. Like, it's not real. These things aren't real. That it's a show that we're watching, and we watched Biden take office, and we watched a billion wars take place, and we watched all of us, North America, fight each other over some sort of ideology. And I'm not saying Biden, the man, had anything to do with it. The guy was a figurehead. I'm not even sure that that's even a real dude. The amount of images you see on the internet that are of him, but like they're slightly different, you're just like, what the hell is even going on here? What I'm seeing though is the idea that if Trump's getting back in, we're getting an aggressive swing. So again, more division, because who's more divisive than Donald Trump? I don't think Biden was divisive as an entity. I believe that the policies that came in behind him were designed specifically to keep people flustered, to keep good people down, and to give a platform to general disruptors. And how are you supposed to focus on yourself and who you are and what you're doing and your job and your career when everything you look at is division, and you must pick a side, because if you don't, then you're a bad guy. So with Trump getting in, I mean, financially, what you're going to see is the markets are going to go up. You're going to see some sort of stability come to place. You're going to see a man who can communicate. I know it's just a show, but you're going to get, I guess, a different version of the same show. You're going to get new characters, new this, new that. I don't trust him as far as I could spit. There's no way that Trump gives a shit about any of us. But there are signs. In Canada, and this also applies to the States, if we were at one point, just arbitrary, let's say if we were all humming along at a level 2, And then between Trudeau and Biden, we got pushed up to a level 8 of chaos and general bad vibes. Well, Trump's going to come in and drop us all down to a level 4, maybe a 5. And same with Pierre when he gets in Canada. We're all going to drop back down to a level 4. And we're all going to be happy to be there at level 4. Which means that they've just bumped us up in energetic thievery or usurping, however you want to put it, from a level 2 to a level 4. And we're fucking proud. We're happy. We're happy that we're back at a level 4. Like they did it to us. What's that Klaus Schwab saying? You will own nothing and you'll be happy. Well, now we're all happy that we're 2 degrees more chaotic than we were, 10 years ago. So I think that that's, the whole boiling pot. I think that that's all the intent that's going on. I also think that if you want to see things differently and if you want to have a different perspective of what's going on, that's how you're going to perceive A, the election, B, where America's going, C, where you're going in the direction that you want to take. Because you could sit around now and with the invention of AI, especially, it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. There's a million things you can do. You can be creative. And you can get noticed and you can help people and you can create and create and create. And to me, I think it's fascinating and fantastic if you have that kind of mindset. You never have to be beholden to anybody that owes you money. And again, they're when I say that, I mean like a job. But they're also weaning that stuff out too. Like you're going to start seeing communistic style handouts from the government to the people. I mean, to the point where we have to understand that all money is basically fake and bullshit anyway, but I digress. That's a whole other topic. Samira from Asherville, North Carolina. As someone who has always been into spirituality and questioning the norm, I find it hard to connect with others who don't see the world the way I do. Do you have any advice on finding harmony in relationships when you feel like you're on a different wavelength? Well, Samira from Asherville, North Carolina, I embody this message. I've been on a different wavelength the majority of my life, and I've been alone the majority of my life. And it's funny because my friends will be like, how come you're surrounded by so many people, but you don't have a girlfriend or you don't have a significant other? And that's simply because for the longest time, there wasn't a single soul on this planet that caught my brain, I guess would be the way to put it, and entertained me in such a way. Like, I love having a good laugh. I love when things are funny. I love when people are crazy, like good crazy, intelligent crazy, smart crazy. If I say something absurd for shock value and I get one-upped by somebody else, I'm going to take notice. So there are things that you do, Samira, that are uniquely yours. And you're not supposed to settle for anyone else that doesn't match that energy. Does that mean you're going to be alone for a while? It's possible. It's entirely up to you. One of the biggest problems that we have in society right now is that everybody gets together because they think they need to get together, and they validate who they are based on who they're dating, which to me is such a waste of healthy potential. I never in my life validated who I was based on who I was dating. Now, for the first time in a very long time, I do have a girlfriend right now, and she is magical. She lives in a different city, and it's kind of sweet. I get the best of both worlds, where because I've been alone for so long, I get the opportunity to spend many hours with her, many days with her. But it's not every day. It's not all encompassing. You still get to maintain your solitude, while trusting yourself in these new situations. So I think my best piece of advice to you, Samira, would be, instead of worrying about finding somebody on the same wavelength, you need to, I think, or one would need to fall in love with who you are. And when you really, truly start operating at the highest level of integrity that you can, you start attracting a different caliber of people. So it's less looking for them and more focusing on you and attracting. We don't go hunting, we attract. But a lot of people are sort of growing up, waking up, stepping into purpose. So I feel that it won't be that long for you that you start finding some of the people that are in your circle. But you definitely have to have faith in yourself a little bit more. You definitely have to step into purpose a little bit more for you, and let the cards fall where they may. I got faith in you. Landon from Austin, Texas. A lot of people in the spiritual communities talk about the Great Reset and shifting timelines. Is there any truth to these ideas, or are they just fear-driven theories? How do we separate esoteric insights from conspiracy noise? I love that. I want to consider myself esoteric noise. Because conspiracies are a gateway. Conspiracies to me are a gateway drug. Conspiracies are like, why am I aware of this if there isn't some truth to it? Why would this be a thing? How is it possible that I can understand this if it's not real? So, and then you go down that road and you see so many things like, my God, the amount of absurdities that I've come across with regards to like Hollywood and all that sort of stuff. And you start looking into it and you start looking at who's representing what and the, you tie, what words can't I say there? Like, what's his name with the island that didn't unalive himself? And the other guy, the P guy. And I'm saying it this way because I have had things taken off of TikTok, if you can believe it, because I use people's names. And I watch other clips on TikTok where they just flat out blast these people. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know why they're up against me. But we're also learning TikTok, so we're trying to be nice. And if you're not following us on TikTok, you should. We're trying. We're working on it. Let's see here. I'm a little bit off topic here. Great Reset, timeline shifting. So conspiracies are a great gateway. The Great Reset, there's so much evidence of it. The mud floods, the Tartarians, the society that lived here before us, and multiple societies before that. They're saying there's layers and layers and layers of this earth. And that also, holds water because, again, we can't possibly live on a spinning ball in space. I mean, I suppose we possibly could, but there are too many holes in that story. Things just simply don't line up. Like, how does the vacuum of space, the absolute vacuum of space, meet the atmosphere of Earth? How come every time we've seen a space movie that there's an implication of up and down in space? Like there's some sort of up and down, and that can only exist in a flat plane. They don't know how to quite describe it, but because we've been fed the tripe for so long, we don't ask the questions. There are, tons of holes with the space theory. So where do we live? I don't know. That's another thing too. A lot of people, when they start down this path, they'll be like, hey, if you're saying that, then you must be this. And don't listen to those people. Don't listen to anyone that's going to try to pigeonhole you with their own inability to think big. I state that emphatically. There is absolutely no reason for you to listen to anyone make fun of you because they still watch the news. There are other things. I mean, there are so many things here. Like you talked about timeline shifting and Great Reset. The Mandela effect is absurdly accurate when it comes to so many things. Like, what was the last one that I just heard? The Mandela effect. Stouffer's. Stouffer's was one of them. Stouffer's used to have stovetop stuffing in the reality that I come from. But in this reality, Stouffer's stovetop stuffing never existed. It was always Kraft stovetop stuffing. And that's crazy to me. Like, it was just Stouffer's, but it's so simple, right? So somebody could say, oh, who cares about Stouffer's? Who cares about Fruit of the Loom? Who cares about Christmas songs that clearly have changed? Who cares about how Lynyrd Skynyrd decided to change the spelling of their name? But these things, they add up. North America and South America, where I come from, used to be on top of each other. Now, North America, based on the maps, and all of the maps, atlases dating all the way back, The Suez Canal does not run north to south. It runs east to west. Sorry, the other way around. Where I came from, the Suez Canal ran east to west. It now runs north to south. And it's fascinating to me because now South America is below North America and far to the right. And that never existed before. It's the same with Australia and New Zealand. Australia used to be called the land down under because they were the bottom land other than the quote unquote Antarctica. But now New Zealand is below Australia instead of being above right. So where I come from, New Zealand was on the, if you're looking at a globe, it was a small island to the top right of Australia. Now it's below Australia. So the land down under isn't really down under. The other one was, I'll be home for Christmas. If I said to you, I'll be home for Christmas, you can on me, what's the first word that pops into your head? Well, it's not that word. It's plan. You can plan on me. Who on earth ever heard you can plan on me as opposed to you can count on me? I'll be home for Christmas. A classic. Mandela affected. So when we talk about timeline shifting, there's tons of evidence of it out there if you're willing to look at it. And if you're willing to accept that the reality that we were handed isn't necessarily a set in stone version of things. Fascinating. Keep digging though, because that stuff is incredible. This is the stuff that, spices up life. It allows you to be like, wow, there's so much more to it. Maya from Taos, I think I'm saying that right. Taos, Taos, New Mexico. I've heard that the 2024 is astrologically supposed to be a big year of shifts and revelations. How do you think this year's events, especially with the recent election, align with that? Are there any cosmic pointers we should be paying attention to for guidance? I'm not exactly the best person to ask for this stuff because as much as I absolutely want to believe in everything astrologically charged, I don't have the research under my belt. I don't have a leg to stand on. I love it. I've had my charts read, and every single time I do, I believe in it. The Akashic records seem to be such a wild and amazing thing that spits truth everywhere. I mean, it's just a veritable knowledge source, wealth of knowledge on you, your opportunities, who you think you are. And it can't be that way. Obviously we can talk our way out of it and we can see past it and we can quote unquote debunk these things. But there's so much truth in there that if you believe them and if you want to step into sort of a new way of doing things or a new way of gauging your results, coinciding with the Akashic records, coinciding with the astrology, there are some pointers in there. There are things that you can shortcuts that you can take, I would say. But it's also not shortcuts. That's kind of a negative word. It's like if you had more information, you could get the job done easier. And I believe firmly that that's what astrology really puts into place. I like the idea of it, and I definitely want to learn more, and it's definitely on my list of things. Right now, we're learning a lot more editing and social media stuff just to have a little bit of fun with that and to create some great content for our clients. But personally, the astrological stuff is something that's definitely next on my list of items to comprehend. If I were to take a stab at answering this question, I would say, if you're in tune with astrology and if you're in tune with the energies of people, trust your gut, stay as observant as you possibly can, and keep having fun with it. That's the best thing I could say. This was a fun episode. I love these questions. So, the new thread is up. We are working on connecting everything. We're working on getting everything back to where we need to be. If you're looking for a coach, if you're looking for somebody to help you, we have still quite an entertaining list of coaches working in and within the Alliance. If you have any questions, shoot us an email, info@the Mental Mastery Alliance. If you need a hand with anything, if you if you just want to talk and if you're feeling under the weather, whatever it is, shoot us an email. Somebody will get back to you. If you want to talk to me directly, send me an email, Adam at the Mental Mastery Alliance. I'll do my best to get back to you and to help you out as well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to the show. In the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.